8 o'clock. We'll call our Affairs and Agencies meeting to order. First on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Public comment. This would be your time to speak to the Board of Commissioners. There's a number of appointments that are up. This would be the time to speak on your own behalf if you're seeking an appointment also. So please step to the podium and feel free to take, I believe it's 5 minutes at the beginning.
Good morning. Amy Torres, and I have been recommended by the Enterprise Group and the Jackson Area Manufacturers Association to represent business and industry for the County Planning Commission, and I would like you to consider my appointment to that board and also consider my experience with Region 2 Planning, doing regional and planning for the City of Jackson as experience that may benefit the county. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jennifer Coe. I'm the village manager in Brooklyn, and I am also seeking a position on the County Planning Commission. My background actually is in urban planning. I have an undergraduate degree in urban planning from Michigan State. So I've been doing this for about 20 years now, and as a result, I think that I would be a good fit to be on the County Planning Commission. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Hawley. I'm also seeking position on the Jackson County Planning Commission, and I've been involved with township planning for over 10 years, and I also have went through the Michigan Master Citizen Planner Program and do keep up with training on more of a regional basis, and would like you to consider my appointment as a citizen at large position on that commission. Thank you.
I'm Tommy Cameron. I'm the communication director for the Jackson County Intermediate School District. I've been recommended by the Jackson Superintendents Association as well as the Jackson County ISD Board to represent education on the Jackson County Planning Commission. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm John Williams, 803 Brighton Road. I stand before you seeking appointment to the Planning Commission as a member at large as well. Having seen the applicants for this position, it looks like you have a tough choice ahead. I'll let you know that obviously I have some background with the county, but also teaching political science, American government, state and local government, full sections in urban planning as well. But just given the fact that this is such a new committee and given the fact that there are just a few members who applied, individuals who applied to over the number requested, it might behoove the commission to look to maybe broaden that number to be appointed to get all those individuals given their attributes on and moved forward. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Morning, my name is Bob Moore. I own a business here in town. I've been in business here in Jackson for about 20 years. I'm seeking the appointment mainly because now I have time in my life to be able to contribute. I have no background in planning whatsoever, but I think my experience would be of benefit. Thank you.
Commissioners, I'm Ted Beals. I live at the east end of Seymour Road out in Waterloo Township. Been actively involved in planning since my very young years. I helped draft the City of Ann Arbor's first land division ordinance. When my wife and I moved out about 20 years ago to Jackson County, we remained active here as a knowledgeable and informed citizen. I have completed the extension services citizen planning program and am a certified master citizen planner with their continuing education program, also a member of the Michigan Association of Planning. I was an active participant in the community planning group, which has been meeting for a number of years in the past for the county, which ultimately developed the community planning document, comprehensive document, which you have. And I'm now before you to apply for a position on your newly established and expecting great things from a new county planning commission. If you've got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Good morning, members. My name's Lauren Greenidge. I live in Spring Arbor, Michigan. I'm asking to be reappointed to the Area Agency on Aging. I've been on the board for 2 terms. This would be my 3rd term. We have some interesting things coming up with Obamacare and how it's going to be affecting our attempts to keep people out of the nursing homes. So if you have any questions, I'd be able to answer them. If not, I would appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Ted Hillary. I was advised to this commission by Carl Rice. I'm a retired Consumers Energy employee. I serve on the Walkable Community Task Force for the Fitness Council. I live in the Northwest District, chairman of the Center for Family Health Board of Directors, and I'd very much like to be a part of this process. Thank you.
Any additional public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Next up are the minutes. I believe the minutes, I didn't see them attached to our agenda. Probably not done from last meeting, I would assume. Are they? Okay, I missed them. Looking for approval then. Support. Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Moving on to appointments. Up is the Region 2 Area Agency on Aging, and I see the current member is Lauren Greenidge. The only applicant that I show here is Lawrence Taylor. Did anybody else see Lauren's application, or Lauren, did you put an application in, actually, Lauren?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
About a week ago.
Dave? Okay. Any other nominations for the one public member on the Region 2 Area Agency on Aging? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of Lauren Greenidge say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Lauren, your name will be forwarded on to the full board.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We have one commissioner appointee. Current member is Carl. Carl's the applicant. Motion and support. Any other nominations? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Emergency Management Advisory Council, for the first slot expiring 4th of 2015, we have Paul Overreiner.
Excuse me, Chair. I do not believe he is an applicant.
Okay.
Under the applicant column, I see that we have 0 applicants, and I did speak with Mr. Overmeyer over the weekend. I know he is not interested. I asked him that question, if he was interested in continuing on with that position. So if there are no applicants posted, I would make the motion to repost it.
Okay, I would assume the same is so with the Scott Krebel's position. Nobody heard from Scott? Okay. I don't necessarily know that we need to have a motion. We can just carry them over till next meeting and have the administrator's office repost them. Jury board, I think we all got the note on that it's going to be moved to May also, awaiting the court recommendation. Which takes us to the coveted Planning Commission. We have gone through and talked about the ordinance which dictates that the new appointees be split up into one-year terms, two-year terms, and three-year terms. So I've gone through, the county commissioner is designated for the length of the commissioner's actual term, obviously 2 years. So if the commissioners could mark their sheets or just make a mental note that the county commissioner term would be a 2-year, and what I'm suggesting we do is the next 3 positions would all be 1-year terms, which would be the first 3 citizen at-large appointments. The 4th citizen at-large appointment would be a 2-year term, as well as the environmental representative, a 2-year term. And then the last 3, which are the agricultural rep, educational rep, and industrial and economic representative, all be 3-year terms, and that would give us our 3, 3, and 3 breakdown. So, for the first slot, Dave.
Do we need to make a motion on that for those terms?
I don't necessarily think we do. It's designated that we have to fill them that way, so we haven't voted anybody into them yet, unless there's a preference to split them up some other way. Hearing none, we'll just move forward with that plan then. So we're looking for a nomination of Carl Rice as the one applicant for the county commissioner spot.
I would be honored to nominate Mr. Carl Rice.
Second. Motion and support. No other nominations. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, the first citizen at-large slot, again, this will be for a 1-year term, and you have the names of the applicants off to the right. So we take nominations for that first citizen at-large 1-year term. Dave.
Nominate.
I would support that.
Okay. Any other nominations for the first slot? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Moving on to the second citizen at-large spot. Looking for nominations. Julie?
I would nominate Jennifer Coe.
Motion and support. Any other nominations for that spot? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Moving on to the third spot, again a citizen at-large 1-year term. Dave? Okay. Any other nominations for that spot? Julie?
I'd nominate Ted Hillary.
Any other nominations for that spot? Okay, we have 2 persons nominated. The clerk will call the roll, and the names are Ted Hillary or Ted Beals, if I have it correctly. And if the audience can be patient, we're still working through a new system here. And I tend to go fast.
We're good. Hillary.
Beals. Ted Beals' name is forwarded for that nomination. Moving on to the last citizen at large spot, which is the 2-year term. Okay. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, the clerk will call the roll. Again, it's John Williams and Robert Moore.
Commissioner Leitner?
Williams. John Williams' name is forwarded on. Moving on to the environmental representative, there's one applicant for that position, which I've noted as a 2-year slot, and the applicant is Jack Ripstra. If we could have a motion.
I so moved.
Second.
Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Agricultural rep, this will be the first 3-year term, and the one name that's been submitted an application is James Vitito, looking for a nomination. Motion and support. Other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. James Vitito's name's forwarded. Educational rep, also a 3-year term. There's 2 applicants, being Sean White and Thomas Cameron. Julie?
Mr. Chair, just for the record, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Do the applicants have to be a resident of Jackson County in order to be appointed to this board?
Do not. Julie, I assume you're asking that because one of these 2 candidates does not live in the county and one does, but it's not a requirement that I could see. Steve Duke is here, or Grant Bauman.
The Michigan Planning and Enabling Act allows for up to 1 member to be a non-resident of the county.
Thank you.
Well, not to be anal, but one other question, and I guess all these, I have looked through the applicants, and all the at-large ones and the ones we've appointed thus far are all from the county, from living in the county, I assume, Grant? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Julie, any other questions or any nominations?
I would nominate Tommy Cameron, please.
Okay, we have 2 nominations. Any others? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll. It'd be Sean White or Thomas Cameron.
Cameron?
Thomas Cameron's name is forwarded to the full board. And lastly, we have the industrial and economic representative, which again is a 3-year term, as we've designated, and the only applicant is Amy Torres. Dave?
I'll nominate Amy Torres.
Any other nominations? Support. Motion and support. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. That completes the appointments to those that may not have made it that are here. I appreciate your applying. The committee does and commissioners do.
Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to...
And of course, just a clarification point, these will be forwarded to the full board for review and official appointment next Tuesday night. Okay, moving on, we have the Jackson County Department of Transportation roadside mowing bid, and I think we have a couple of road commission reps here. Yep. Robert Griffiths.
Morning.
Morning.
For the roadside mowing bid, we're recommending the Newander and Sons be awarded the bid.
My only question is, it looked like we had just 2 bids, if I read it right,
Yes.
and they were both from out of the county.
Yes.
Nobody in the county is ever interested in those, or?
Not so far.
Okay. And I think what I looked at was mainly $35 is what it showed in the bid column. Is that per mile, or?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, we'd be looking for a motion. Your mic on, Dave.
I'll move to, excuse me, accept the bid from New Wander.
Okay, we have a motion and a support from Sarah. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Thank you. In clarification, this moves to the full board by what we have here. Robert, what do you have next? The truck purchase bid?
Yes. And there we were recommending that the two truck, maintenance truck bids be awarded to Jack's Peterbilt from Grand Rapids.
Yeah, I got to say that I appreciate the great detail we got on that. If you just looked at the surface, it looked like you'd want to buy locally, but when you look closer, and especially the resale value on those, makes a huge difference. So, any questions from the commissioners? We could have a motion. There's motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. You got a truck build bid, Bob?
Okay, and this is my last one, and with this one, we're recommending that Truck Trailer Specialties be awarded the bid out of that.
Questions or comments, commissioners? We could have a motion? Okay. Julie, was that nod a support? Sure, support. Moved by Palachek, supported by Julie. Am I going too fast, girls? Okay, I'll slow down. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Moving down to item F, abandonment.
And John Sanders will be up to talk about the last two.
Okay. Off Hyde Road, I think, off Oak or Oakwood. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you like to give us a quick rundown?
The abandonment was, we turned in, was requested by one of the property owners that actually lives along the Meadowside Drive. Part of Orchard Street had already been abandoned previously, and he's just requesting we abandon Meadowside Drive and Orchard Street to give him clearance for addition to his building there.
Surrounding neighbors weren't opposed to it at all?
No, I have all the signatures of everybody around there. All the abutting property owners have signed it. The property become property of the joint property owners on both sides of the road.
Okay, questions from commissioners? Julie?
Only because this is so new to us. Is this a common occurrence that happens?
We probably get about 5 of these a year. And a lot of them are just what we call paper roads, or roads that have been put in the plat but have never been built, that the people request because they need the clearance for new buildings or something. So, but we get about 5 a year probably.
Okay, looking for a motion. This will be for approval of the abandonment. Motion and support. Additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next, you have a site plan. Is this for the Clavons, I think?
Yes, it's a new Clavon site down off McDivitt and Oak Lane. They've requested, they submitted their plans, they've been reviewed. They had some very minor changes. We sent them back to Jack Ripster, who was their engineer, and he's made the changes, and we approved the plans accordingly.
Only question I've got is MDOT involved at all with that because of its location, either to the ramps or the highway?
No, all this is within our right-of-way. None of it's in their right-of-way.
Okay, questions or comments from the commissioners? Good to see this move forward. So, looking for a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Julie, supported by Commissioner Lechka. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Anything else with road commission on the agenda or not, or was that it?
I believe so.
Okay.
That was it.
Thank you. Amy Torres, Enterprise Group. Aha! I didn't see you hiding back there. You've changed.
Amy's here as a citizen today. So, good morning. I'm Tim Rogers, President of the Enterprise Group. I'm here to give you my biannual report. First thing I'll just note is I know we electronically make sure you get the scorecard every month. There'll be a new one coming out in about a week or so, so please look for that. A couple of highlights I want to point out in that is especially around training activity. Our training activity has picked up significantly among local business people requesting, especially welders and CNC machinists. We've had our best January ever as far as enrolling people for those academy classes at the Enterprise Group. In our prospect inquiries are up a little bit for this time of year. The first quarter is always usually a little bit busy just because people are preparing for springtime, but you'll want to look and keep track of that as the year goes on. And one of the things that at our recent board meeting, actually the first board meeting of our new board, is we're going to try to start benchmarking some of these over time so that now that we've kept track of them year over year, you can see the difference from one year to the next about these different categories and how they've changed, so you can track them a little bit better. Pardon me. One of the things that I mentioned early on, and I know the board's kind of been putting as a goal for us, is to try to include our use of data. A lot of what we do is based in numbers, and a lot of what business people do is based in numbers, whether that's labor force, wage rates, tax rates, any number of things. And we've really made an effort in the first quarter to start that process of including or improving our data presentations. One of the things that, pardon me, I'm fighting a cold this morning. One of the things that you'll see, this is a draft, and I'm just going to hand it up there so you can all pass it around. But one of the things you're going to see is a lot more data coming out of our office. Thanks. It's actually a draft, so the real one will be done in a couple weeks. But what you're going to see is a lot more data that talks about Jackson County and a lot of different splits on that data, and then also how we fit in our what I call our 7-county region, every county that touches us. One of the interesting facts in there, and people don't really think about it, but when I'm out selling this community externally, is if you take Jackson County and every county that touches us, we have 1.1 million people when it comes to population. And that's pretty significant when you're considering a 30 to 45 mile drive radius, because that's what industry looks at. They want to know where are their employees going to come from in the future. And when we can say it's 1.1 million versus 170,000, that puts us in a ballgame that we may not otherwise be able to compete in. So you're going to see a lot more of that information coming out. Now, obviously, we don't live in a paper world anymore, so all that information will be in PDFs, will be on our website, and we'll also be presenting it on flash drives to the prospects that we meet with. A couple other updates that I wanted to share with you. The Acme property, we have been working very closely with EnviroLogic. The EPA has approved, we have about $90,000 left that's dedicated to that site. The EPA has approved us using that to look at that site to actually determine environmentally what we can do with it. Most logically, it will probably be some form of parking, but when you're dealing with an EPA site, you have to do a lot of jumping through hoops, so to speak. So they've given us till October to spend that $90,000 with EnviroLogic working on that site. I had coffee with the chair, I guess it was last week, wasn't it, Steve? That we'll be putting together a task force from investors of the EG and from the general community to actually help us with that planning process. One of the other priorities for us is to try to include more people in the activities of the Enterprise Group, trying to be more transparent, more inclusive, getting people involved in our task force and in our activities. So you'll be seeing some of that coming forward in the next couple of months. I mentioned the data. One of the other things in working in our region designated by the state is Region 9, which includes the counties to the south and Washtenaw County and all the way over to Monroe, is we'll be part of a regional group that does some GIS work. We want to, it's a group called GIS Planning, where you'll be able to focus in on a site and then take census tract information on that site to figure out what's the population, what's the age, what's the income. So as we're doing site planning work, again, that data component becomes very important, and it can become very specific to a site or building. So I want you to kind of keep your eyes open. You'll hear more about that probably in the second quarter of the year. Finally, marketing, which is always really important to us. We will be, myself, one of 7 other groups going with Mike Finney to Chicago next week, actually. We'll be meeting with 8 corporate real estate people on Tuesday and 8 corporate real estate people on Wednesday to talk about Michigan and some of the changes that's taken place here business climate-wise, and then also more specifically about Jackson County. And I've been doing this a while. I got the list last week. I know about half of those people, so it'll be a good opportunity for me to reacquaint myself with them and also promote Jackson County and the things that are going on here a little better. And finally, our investor campaign is in the last couple months of wrapping up. You should have all received an email note and a postcard note for an event coming up April 25th out at Spring Arbor University with our guest speaker, Dr. Charles Ballard, who's going to talk about the Michigan economy. We hope you all can attend, and please RSVP. Spring Arbor was kind enough to host this with us. It only holds 155 people, and we have an invitation list of about 255. So if you're interested, please make sure and call the office. The investor campaign is, as I said, wrapping up. We appreciate your support. We're about 85% of goal, which was $340,000. The business community has really stepped up, and interestingly, for a lot of the calls that we have made, many of those business people indicated they've never been asked to support the enterprise group before, and frankly, a lot of them didn't even really know what we did. So we're making a big effort, as I said, on transparency to go out and talk to people about what we do, how we do it, how you can be involved. And so that will continue as you see the year go on, a lot more emphasis on external communication with the community and with investors. Be happy to answer questions. I could stand up here and rattle off things forever. You may have more questions than just my kind of ramblings.
Tim, I think our board chair has a question first, and then our vice chair will be second.
Use it for parking. Thanks.
Phil, if you can use your mic, Phil, please.
You talked about the training that was going on with welders. It was who else was it other than welders?
CNC machinists.
CNC. Okay. Are those requested for local jobs training or?
Well, the academy actually works in a pretty much Hillsdale, Lenawee, and Jackson County, but those companies, the transference of those people are all over. We have requests from Hillsdale, Lenawee, and Jackson County, and we can't meet the demand for any of them, frankly, right now.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, as long as we have people interested in being trained.
Yes. We're not training welders to go to South Dakota or something, are we?
No.
Is there a way to
actually, most of them that are being trained are being funded with either local South Central Michigan Works dollars, United Way dollars, and Foundation dollars, and or businesses themselves that are paying the tuition for those employees.
Okay, that's a good sign. Thank you.
Any other commissioners with questions? Okay, we'll move on to the second part of your presentation.
Thank you. I'm going to have Debbie take care of that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Good morning. Representing the Jackson County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority this morning, served and staffed by the Enterprise Group. The JCBRA is seeking County Commission approval to terminate 3 brownfield plans in Blackman Charter Township. Those are the My-High building, the Camshaft Machine Company, and the former Harvard Industries site. So we're asking to terminate those 3 brownfield plans, and for 2 reasons: due to the fact that development did not occur within the 5-year period, and then no obligations for which tax increment could be captured on those 3. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Okay, it was pretty well laid out in the resolution. Commissioners with any questions? It would be looking for a motion, and this is to send it on to the full board.
I'll move to send this to the full board.
Support.
Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you, Debbie. Moving on to equalization, I think we have Ms. Legault here to speak to the equalization report.
Yes. I believe Ruth sent in everything. I am mainly just asking that this be okayed for Ruth. We're actually sitting at $7,754,803,330 as of now. Is there any questions? I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Commissioners, do you have any questions on the equalization report? And if not, we'd be looking for a motion to send it on to the full board. Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Kent Mauer, Airport, resolution opposing the FAA funding cut for air traffic control services. Ken, I had shipped a article to you late last week. Does that have any impact on what we're talking about or not, if that happens as in the article?
Well, by way of background, the FAA originally sent a list of air traffic control towers that would be closed. In their terms, they're not closing the towers, they're just stopping the funding, just to clarify that. So the list was those towers where funding would be stopped. That original list included some FAA towers, and it included our tower and 149 other towers. And since then, there have been some appeals. And also since then, they realized that for some reason, I'm not certain, that the 16 air traffic control towers in the nation that are paying part of their costs, they're called cost share towers, of which Jackson is one, had some special funding that could not be immediately impacted by the sequestration. So those towers have always had a September 30th close date after the second list. The other list of 149 towers are only contract towers that have been fully funded. That original closure date ranged from April 7th through May 6th. They have been extended to June 15th because I think the FAA realized fully there are too many logistical tasks to go through to close them and to accommodate an airport that no longer has an air traffic control tower. So that article, I believe, talked about the extension, and what's confusing is that when they release these lists of towers that are going to be closed, Jackson is not on it because it has a later date. I've asked the contact person from the FAA by email, what does that mean for Jackson and the other 15 towers that are in cost share after September 30th? Because the sequestration only affects that funding by 5%. Particularly if there's another continuing resolution and the issue is not addressed specifically. And the answer is rather vague. It says something like, we will consider funding for that program along with our other funding decisions for the FAA after September 30th. That would be with the new fiscal year. So I'm not really certain what that means for Jackson, although I think administratively it would be tough to cut a program that they didn't have to cut because of sequestration, which is the reason they're cutting the 149 towers, but it also would be administratively tough to continue funding the 16 towers that are the least busy of all the contract towers, if you follow me. Because we're paying part of our costs, the 16 cost share towers, means really the least busy of all the contract towers. So this proposed resolution would just encourage continued funding of all the contract towers, including the cost share program. And 13 months ago, you passed a similar resolution. The airport board has already passed a resolution similar to this one. And I think I would also, if it's approved, we would also send it to the FAA contacts, the FAA administrator, including our legislators. So.
Okay, Ken, thanks for the detailed rundown on it. Any questions from the commissioners? And the plan would be, if we approve this, to send it to the full board for approval. So that's what we'd be looking for.
I'll move to send this to the full board.
Support.
Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Region 2 again. County Zoning Committee. Looks like Grant, there you are.
I'm here to answer any questions, but otherwise it's back to you for consideration of the 4 proposals.
Deal with them one at a time. The first one, Grant, is for sign regulations in Spring Arbor, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on the first resolution? Looking for a motion on this one.
I would so move. Support.
Motion and support, and this is relative to CZC 13-02, the Spring Arbor zoning ordinance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Second one is a proposed rezoning in Summit Township, and it's CZC 23-03. Grant, anything significant about this one?
No, it's I recommended approval of it, and it's a good move. I think it's consistent with the master plans and with the existing land use patterns in the area. It's Ferguson Corner, so it's right next to the Polly's store shopping plaza. So it's no, I don't see any problems with it.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to concur with the recommendation on this one.
I'll move to concur with the recommendation.
There's support? Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Grant, next up is zoning ordinance text amendments in Napoleon. Anything significant there?
No, the Township Planning Commission was just going through the ordinance, I think, and cleaning up some things that they passed a major revision several years ago, and I think these are just things that they've caught along the way and wanted to correct.
Okay, and you're recommending approval?
Yes.
Okay. We could have a motion, please? Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Grant, the last one appears to be rezoning in Napoleon Township.
Yes, it's a rezoning in Napoleon Township. Staff is recommending approval of the rezoning. I sent an email out to everybody late last week. I had made an oversight in reading the minutes of the meeting based upon previous conversations I had with staff, with officials at the township, where they did recommend, the Planning Commission is recommending approval of the rezoning to general commercial rather than the local commercial that I'd had in my original staff report. But we are recommending, I am concurring with the Township Planning Commission recommendation to approve to general commercial.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Not if we could have a motion, and it would again be general commercial, correct, Grant?
Correct.
All right, I would make that motion for general commercial ordinance in that area in Napoleon Township.
Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. I think that's it, Grant?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is all we have under committee items. We have the claims. Someone would move the claims, please. Okay, motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Minutes from other committees. You have the reporting schedule, Parks Commission minutes, and we are now down to public comments again. Any members of the public that wish to speak again? 3 minutes. Hearing none. Committee member comments. Hearing none. We're adjourned.